What's up, guys? Blade Master here. Going to be bringing you some Total War Warhammer online action. This is a quick battle that I fought against Pringles 66, and one of the few online battles that I think went pretty fun. And he's taken the vampire counts in this match. I've taken the Greenskins. I just don't like playing as any other factions besides the Greenskins. Empire could be nice if the Demigryph Knights weren't so incredibly overpowered. But besides that, Bretonia is kind of cool if I want to play like a pike and shot type of build. But for the most part, I just like Greenskins the most. They have the most unique units and the coolest looking units while having a very balanced and fleshed out roster. Unfortunately, some of their units seem to be quite a bit underpowered, and I'm not really sure if I should make a blade balance mod for this for the game right now. It might be a bit too soon, but let me know what you guys think. Anyways, in this match with the vampire counts, Pringle66 has brought a Terrorgheist along with Manfred von Karstein on a zombie dragon. I'm using magic missiles with both my heroes, which is an Orc Shaman and the legendary Lord Azag the Slaughterer. One of them misfires and hits my giant. He's already used, I think, Spirit Leech on my giant. And besides that, he's brought a very cool army. He's brought a shit ton of zombies and 4 Graveguard, 3 Crypt Horrors, and of course the Terrorgeist Necromancer over here. Oh, sorry, that's a White King. A Terrorgeist and Manfred von Karstein. Now, it's basically like if you can't beat the meta, join the meta. I'm just going to be using not Spirit Leech. It's called something else, but it's basically magic missiles to damage the enemy legendary lord. Going to be using Spirit Leech with Azag the Slaughterer and use some Gaze of Mork or something like that to with the Orc Shaman to damage von Karstein. I like the Gaze of Mork, or basically just the Orc Shaman and Knight Shaman's spells at dealing just damage to single opponents, because they don't cost a lot of mana, and I think that's mana changes are probably one of the biggest things that I think need to be changed in Total War Warhammer. The buffing spells and area of attack spells need to have their mana reduced or their effectiveness increased. Anyways, besides the 2 goblins that you can see up front, I've brought a total of 5 orcs and 3 orc biggins, 4 total orc boar boy biggins, and a giant. Now I'm going to be using the goblins to just tie down some of the zombies and use the orc boys to kill off some of the zombies on the flanks, and then rear charge with my orc boar boy biggins so that I can come in with a rear collapse from the left flank. Where are my tools? Where are my paintings? I don't know. Anyways, my Orc Boar Boys are going to charge against the Crypt Horrors. Crypt Horrors should be able to slaughter them very, very quickly. So I'm going to bring another Orc Boy to just hold down. Meanwhile, just basically targeting Manfred von Karstein, and he should be using Spirit Leech on my legendary lord, but instead he used it on my Orc Shaman, which I think is a big mistake. The Orc Boar Boy Biggins going to charge into Graveguard, and that's an excellent use of the cavalry, because that's basically the biggest threat in this army that the Orc Boar Boy Biggins can disrupt. The zombie dragon is causing a whole shit ton of terror, so I'm bringing Orc Biggins, Boar Boys, Orc Boys, all the boys to charge in and just tie him down, while I shoot magic missiles from my Orc Shaman as long as my mana is once my mana is regenerated. The Graveguard with great weapons fighting against the Orc boys, and then I rear charge with my Orc Boar Boy Biggins. And similar thing going on here, just rear charging the zombies until they collapse and their binding comes loose. The giant, meanwhile, is fighting against zombies, and it's almost sort of regenerated. I don't know if they regenerate. I'm pretty sure they don't, but it seems like it has. The Orc Boar Boy Biggins are coming in for an eventual rear charge against the Graveguard, and they have been clustered over here. And Spirit Leech again dropped into Manfred von Karstein. I'm sorry for using the direct damage spells, but there's no other way for me to win. I'm just not good enough in the game yet. The Terrorgeist is going to rear charge is going to just charge into my giant and my Orc boys. So very cool, very cool 1v1 here. The Terrorgeist versus the giant, and the giant I think can probably beat the Terrorgeist. Just an absolute monster. The giant is just a superb addition to orcs, and I think it's a very, very well balanced unit. deals a whole bunch of damage, but if you have any units that can fire missiles, then the giant is basically dead. Which is why it was a good idea for him to use Spirit Leech with Manfred von Karstein, but unfortunately it's not good enough. No, hasn't been dealt enough damage. The giant now, look at that, it's just destroying the Terrorgheist, and the Terrorgheist has got very low leadership or low morale, whereas the giant has just plenty of morale. And that's why I think bringing a giant is very cool, because you have one of the few units in an orc army that just doesn't rout all the time. The orc boys, on the other hand, do rout all the time, and that's why they've come back from routing, and now they're going to fill in and start hitting the crypt horrors. But the crypt horrors, of course, an excellent unit. They do have a lot of armor piercing damage, which is not going to be too useful against my orc boys, who are not very well armored anyways. They're just plentiful in numbers, so they'll keep routing and then keep coming back and just get back into the fight. Another Spirit Leech dropped onto my giant, while my orc boar boy Biggins rear charge some of the Graveguard with great weapons, who've taken a lot of damage. The orc Biggins haven't done too much damage, but they've held off, or just held them down, held down the Graveguard while I rear charge with orc boar boy Biggins. And there we go, weak binding. And if I drop another magic missile, I've kept Azag the Slaughter far away. He's taken a bit of damage, but it hasn't been too much, and that's perfect. I've purposely not kept him on a dragon, because there's no point in keeping him on a dragon, spending extra money, and then get him slaughtered by Manfred von Karstein. I just don't want to take that sort of engagement. So I leave him inconspicuously on foot, and that's actually a pretty decent way to keep your general safe. He's got a much smaller quote-unquote hitbox, because there's a very small, you don't really see a dragon from the other side, and you might mistake my general for my orc shaman, and even if you don't, there's like a lot of seconds that you waste just searching for him in the midst of combat, which I think is pretty cool. So the orc boar boy Biggins is going to rear charge the White King, and the White King has done it quite a bit of damage, but so has my giant, double XP chevron, and is now just clobbering the crypt horrors. He's popped Red Fury, which has temporarily increased the crypt horrors' attack. And another thing I don't really like about Warhammer's spells is that the buffing spells last far too short. Maybe that's just the case for the Orc Shaman, but the plus 54 melee attack or the Night Goblin Shaman's increase to armor piercing damage, it just doesn't last very long. It lasts like maybe 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and that's really not enough. The Orc boys now going to charge back into the crypt horrors. My Orc boys over there back from routing, and the crypt horrors here just almost dead. And so far Azag has not been used in combat yet, and I just need one more Spirit Leech or one more Gaze of Mork or whatever it's called from my Orc Shaman to kill him off. He's got 2 zombies here that could have been really useful, but he's completely forgot to micro with them, and now he's going to just put Manfred von Karstein into battle, last ditch combat, and I drop a final Spirit Leech, which should be more than enough to kill off zombie dragon Manfred von Karstein. And that's going to be it for the crypt horrors. I think he drops a Spirit Leech on my... No, I use Wog. I use Wog and Foe Seeker and Stand Your Ground. And I don't really know how long this lasts. It looks like it's lasted maybe 5 to 10 seconds. Yeah, 5 seconds. Again, I don't think it's enough. But that's just a general ability that doesn't cost any mana, so that's not the best example. I'll bring you guys another online battle where I try and showcase this. I hope I have the foresight to show that. Azag the Slaughter finally kills off some of the crypt horrors, forced into combat. He doesn't do much damage in combat, and you definitely don't want to put him into the midst of battle. But yeah, Pyrrhic victory. Greenskins finally managed to win. More specifically, I managed to win a battle with the Greenskins. I haven't really played with basically any other faction besides the Greenskins, because I just really like them. I don't really know why. The Orc boys they did okay, but I feel more and more that these guys just underperform all the time. For 450 talents, that's a decent bit of money that you want to put into them. And it's kind of like in Rome 2, which is, I hope most of you guys remember Rome 2 and the units in there. Rome 2, there's an Eastern Spearman and then there's the Militia Hoplite. Both of them perform basically the same role, except that the Eastern Spearmen are very, very cheap, whereas the Militia Hoplites are quite a bit more expensive, almost double the price. So it's a pretty similar thing that I feel with the Goblins and the Orc boys. The Goblins are a very cheap unit to hold down units, and they don't kill too much. They have killed a lot of zombies here, but they don't kill too much. And the Orc Boys do basically the same thing, but they last a little bit longer. Their leadership is basically I don't know if the leadership is has been improved more, but their role is basically the same, and you're paying a lot more money just to have them. So I don't really find that Orc Boys will be a big part of any future armies, as long as the meta stays this, or the balance stays the same in this game. The Orc Boar Boy Biggins did quite well for me, which is a rarity, because this army basically needs the Orc Boar Boy Biggins to do well, and the Giant to do really well. And in this case, both of them did quite well. The Orc Biggins, pretty decent unit, I think. Cost a fair bit of money, but they stay for a long time, and they deal quite a bit of damage to both infantry and cavalry. They do have an anti-large bonus, but against infantry as well, they're quite good. For Pringles 66, I think those two zombies that he just left and completely forgot to micro could have been a huge part of this battle. They could have just waltzed down and tied down Azag and the Orc Shaman. The Orc Shaman died to the Terrorgheist, but yeah, the zombies could have just tied down a lot of my units, and basically I wouldn't have had the maneuverability that I would have liked if he used the zombies effectively. The Graveguard did decently, and the Crypt Horrors could have done a lot better, and of course the huge amount of money wasted on the Terrorgheist. I don't really like this monster. It costs too much money, and they just don't perform very well. Anyways, guys, that's the end of this battle. Hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if you want a balance patch. Let me know what you think about Terrorgheists and Giants and the way the monsters work in this game, and stay tuned for more. Peace.